Ethan trudged along the dense, remote woodland trail, the morning mist clinging to the trees like a ghostly shroud. This hike was supposed to be a much-needed escape from his monotonous city life, but the serenity was interrupted by something utterly bizarre. A glint of light shimmering amidst the fallen leaves. Squinting, Ethan stepped closer, his heart quickening with curiosity. There it was, slithering silently. A snake, its scaled body weaving through the underbrush. But this was no ordinary serpent. Perched upon its head was a dazzling gem, sparkling with an otherworldly brilliance. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. At first, Ethan thought it was a trick of the light, yet as he crouched closer, it became unmistakable. A diamond, perfectly seated atop the snake's head, as though it had been placed there deliberately. Ethan froze, his mind racing. How was this possible? Was the snake some bizarre experiment or part of an ancient ritual? His instincts told him to walk away, but the allure of the diamond was irresistible. With careful precision, he used a long stick to nudge the snake into a makeshift cloth bag. The creature hissed but didn't strike, almost as if it understood his intent. Ethan's hands trembled as he tied the bag shut, securing his discovery. His thoughts were chaotic as he trekked back to his car. What had he just stumbled upon? A treasure hunt wasn't on his itinerary, but now the unimaginable had fallen into his lap. By the time he reached the nearest small town, Ethan decided he needed answers. The jeweler's shop was modest, tucked away on the corner of a cobblestone street. A bell jingled as Ethan pushed open the door, his nerves taut with anticipation. An elderly man with sharp eyes and a magnifying glass perched on his nose greeted him. I've found something," Ethan stammered, pulling the diamond from the bag. The jeweler's skeptical gaze transformed into astonishment as the gem caught the light. "This is no ordinary stone," the jeweler muttered, his hands shaking slightly as he examined it under the light. Ethan leaned in, his pulse pounding. "What do you mean?" he asked. The jeweler's voice dropped to a whisper as though afraid the walls themselves might be listening. "This diamond, it's not just valuable, it's infamous. I've only heard rumors, but if this is what I think it is, you've found something far more dangerous than you can imagine." Ethan's stomach churned. He hadn't anticipated this. "Dangerous? How?" The jeweler leaned closer. "This gem is the stuff of legends, an artifact from an era long past. They call it the Serpent's Tear. It's said to bring both immense fortune and terrible misfortune to whoever possesses it. People have killed for less." Ethan's mind spun, the room suddenly feeling stifling. "You're saying someone might come after me for this?" The jeweler's expression darkened. "Not someone, many. If this is real, every treasure hunter, collector, and worse will be after you. You need to be careful." Ethan's hands clenched around the diamond. The allure of fortune had suddenly turned into the weight of fear. He thanked the jeweler and slipped out of the shop, the cool evening air doing little to calm his nerves. But it didn't take long for Ethan to notice he wasn't alone. A man in a dark coat loitered at the end of the street, pretending to look at a newspaper. Another figure, a woman with sharp eyes, seemed to linger just a bit too long near the cafe across the street. Ethan's heart raced as paranoia set in. Had word already spread? Was the jeweler right about the danger? The diamond burned in his pocket like a curse. Ethan tightened his grip on the small, velvet pouch containing the diamond as he walked briskly toward his car. His senses were on high alert, his eyes darting to every shadow and movement around him. The two strangers he had noticed earlier seemed to trail him at a distance. Were they just passers-by, or had they somehow learned about the diamond? Reaching his car, Ethan jumped in and locked the doors. His hands trembled as he turned the ignition, the engine roaring to life. He sped away, his mind racing with the jeweler's ominous words. Who else could know about the diamond? Had the jeweler tipped someone off, or had his visit already drawn unwanted attention? Ethan drove for hours, heading far from the small town, his thoughts tangled in a web of fear and curiosity. He couldn't shake the jeweler's warning. This isn't just valuable, it's infamous. What had he gotten himself into? Exhausted, he finally stopped at a roadside motel. its neon sign flickering in the darkness. He checked in under a fake name, a precaution he had never thought he'd need to take in his otherwise ordinary life. Inside the dimly lit motel room, Ethan placed the diamond on the small table. The gem seemed to glow faintly, as if alive, its radiance almost hypnotic. He pulled out his laptop and began searching for any information about the serpent's tear. The jeweler's words echoed in his mind, and he needed answers. It didn't take long for Ethan to uncover the chilling tales surrounding the gem. According to various legends and historical accounts, the serpent's tear had been stolen centuries ago from an ancient temple deep in the jungles of Southeast Asia. The temple was said to be dedicated to a serpent deity, a guardian of immense wealth and wisdom. The diamond, believed to be the deity's eye, was encrusted on the head of a sacred statue. But when it was stolen, chaos followed. Every person who had come into possession of the diamond reportedly met a grim fate. Some were murdered, others vanished without a trace, and a few succumbed to madness. The legends claim the diamond carried a curse, punishing those who dared to separate it from its rightful place. Yet despite its dark history, its allure continued to draw treasure hunters, collectors, and black market dealers, all willing to risk their lives for its unimaginable value. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the gravity of his discovery sinking in. The diamond was no mere trinket. It was a relic of immense power, a magnet for greed and danger. He considered his options. He could sell it and walk away with enough money to change his life forever. But at what cost? Would the curse follow him? And even if it didn't, how could he trust anyone not to betray him for the stone? A loud knock at the door jolted Ethan from his thoughts. His blood ran cold. He wasn't expecting anyone, and the paranoia from earlier came flooding back. Slowly he approached the door, peering through the peephole. A man in a dark suit stood outside, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Miller?" the man called out, using the fake name Ethan had given at check-in. "I know you're in there. We need to talk." Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. How did this stranger know his alias? He remained silent, hoping the man would leave, but the knocking persisted. "I'm not here to harm you," the man continued, "but you have something very valuable, and you need to understand the stakes. Open the door before it's too late." Ethan backed away, his mind racing. This couldn't be a coincidence. Someone knew about the diamond, but who and how? The man outside sighed, his voice growing colder. "If you won't let me in, others will come. And trust me, they won't ask as politely as I am." Suddenly, the faint sound of a car screeching to a halt outside caught Ethan's attention. He peeked through the curtains and saw another vehicle pull up, its occupants stepping out in a hurry. These weren't friendly visitors. They were armed. Panic surged through Ethan. He grabbed the diamond and his bag, slipping out through the bathroom window just as the motel room door burst open. He didn't wait to see who had entered. He ran into the night, the cold air biting at his face as he darted through the surrounding woods, his breast ragged. Behind him, he could hear shouting and the crunch of boots on gravel. They were chasing him. Whoever these people were, they wanted the diamond, and they weren't going to stop until they had it. Ethan stumbled through the darkness, his heart hammering in his chest. The diamond felt heavier with every step, its glow faintly visible even through the pouch. He realized with chilling certainty that he couldn't keep running forever. He needed a plan, and fast. Ethan's lungs burned as he pushed through the thick undergrowth, his mind racing. He knew he couldn't outrun these people forever. The diamond was a beacon, drawing danger to him like a moth to a flame. If he wanted to survive, he had to end this chase on his own terms. His foot caught on a root, and he tumbled to the ground, the diamond pouch slipping from his grasp. For a moment he lay there, catching his breath. The faint glow of the gem illuminated the forest floor, casting eerie shadows. Ethan realized he had two choices: keep running until they inevitably caught him, or make a stand. Summoning every ounce of courage, Ethan pulled himself to his feet. He grabbed the diamond and scanned the area. In the distance, he spotted an old wooden bridge spanning a deep ravine. The sound of rushing water echoed below. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was the best chance he had. Ethan sprinted toward the bridge, the voices of his pursuers growing louder behind him. As he reached the middle, he stopped and turned. The armed figures emerged from the trees, their flashlights cutting through the darkness like knives. They spread out, surrounding the bridge on both sides. "End of the line, Ethan," one of the men called out, his voice cold and commanding. "Hand over the diamond and we'll let you walk away." Ethan's grip tightened around the pouch. "You think I believe that? This thing is a curse, and you know it." The leader stepped closer, his weapon trained on Ethan. "What it is doesn't matter. Just give it to us, and we'll handle the rest." Ethan shook his head, his heart pounding. "Number, this isn't just about money or power. If this thing is as dangerous as they say, no one should have it." His voice grew steadier as he spoke. "Not me, not you, no one." Without hesitation, Ethan hurled the diamond over the edge of the bridge. The gem arced through the air, its radiant glow reflecting in their stunned eyes. It disappeared into the abyss below, swallowed by the rushing river. Silence fell, broken only by the sound of water crashing against the rocks. For a moment, no one moved. The leader's expression twisted with rage. "You idiot!" he roared. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" But Ethan wasn't listening. The weight of the diamond's burden had lifted, replaced by a strange sense of peace. Whatever power it held was gone now, lost to the depths where no one could reach it. The men advanced, their anger palpable, but a deafening crack suddenly echoed through the forest. The ancient wooden bridge groaned under their weight, its rotted planks splintering. Ethan barely had time to react before the structure collapsed, sending him and his pursuers plummeting toward the water. The icy river engulfed Ethan, dragging him downstream in its relentless current. He fought to stay afloat, gasping for air as the world spun around him. After what felt like an eternity, he managed to claw his way onto the riverbank, coughing and shivering. The night was eerily quiet. There was no sign of the men. Exhausted and drenched, Ethan stared at the river. The diamond was gone, and with it, the danger that had shadowed him. For the first time since his discovery, he felt truly free. He would return to his ordinary life, grateful for the lesson the serpent's tear had taught him. Some treasures aren't worth the cost. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Ethan rose and began the long journey home. He would carry the memory of the diamond and its curse, not as a burden, but as a reminder of the fleeting, perilous nature of greed.